What is this? Don't know what it... What is this?
You can capture the emotion, you can capture the subtleties, the nuances of the movements, you can capture the eye, you can capture the tics, everything. Capture it all.
I'll be nice once, then I won't.
With all the buzz surrounding the second installment of the eagerly awaited Avatar film, The Way of Water was shot with the majority of the scenes underwater, and the actors had to learn to hold their breath underwater for a longer period of time than normal. And training with Navy SEALs in order to do that, I'm sure was pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and see what the actors have to say about what they experienced with filming and what else went into the making.
There are different ways to make films that have CG characters. What we're interested in with performance capture is the totality of the performance. It's an amazing process. It's also the only way to do it. It's the only way to make this film.
But before we get into more of these moments, some trivia for you. How long did it take this film to make? Leave your guesses in the comments down below, and stick around to the end of the video to find out if your answer was correct.
The amazing thing is that the technology gives me that portal to bring my 14-year-old self to play this girl.
Avatars only, go around.
They have all these little cameras that send these little rays which give an image of you moving around, so every little movement is your movement.
And every time we see the behind the scenes of this film, or even the first one, you can recognize just why the director did the film the way that it was, not only for realism, but of the effect and emotion that was brought into the film just from how it was shot.
Physical, emotional, facial, the eyes, everything. The actor creates the emotion, the actor creates the moment. It's our job to make sure that everything the actor did is preserved in their CG character.
James Cameron originally planned to have the film completed for release in 1999. At the time, the special effects he wanted increased the budget to $400 million. No studio would fund the film, and it was shelved for 8 years.
The moment I saw her for the first time, I was just like, you're just so beautiful. Blue has never looked more beautiful.
This is not a squad. It is a family.
He knew that CGI effects had progressed enough to make this film when he saw Gollum in The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers in 2002. And interestingly enough, James once revealed that some of the animal noises heard are not original but recycled from the Jurassic Park film from 1993.
It is just remarkable to be able to see the movements and the performance go straight into the character. And it's like, there's Kate, and then, hey, there's Renard. So that has been fascinating to me.
It's hard enough to bring emotion into a completely animated character, but it was much easier bringing emotion when real trained actors were on set providing the facial movements that didn't have to be added in later in special effects, thus making it more real because the emotion came from real people.
You are very hard on them.
I'm their father. It's my job.
Everything that Jake Sully as a Na'vi does, Sam has done.
And shot very similarly to its original, Avatar: The Way of Water surrounded a big pool with a bunch of the actors wear the same suits used to shoot the first film, and it was quite challenging as the weight of the suit came into play while they were swimming around.
In making a movie set on Pandora, Pandora doesn't exist. Avatars don't exist at 9 foot tall. We have actors working in a volume with markers on their body, facial head rigs on their head, and we capture 100% of their performance in the digital world.
And it's great that they didn't just decide to animate the actors into water, but physically putting them in water for the shots made it all the more realistic. And that's the key to any story, is realism.
But I know one thing. This family is our fortress.
The tank they shot in was 32 feet deep and held around 90,000 gallons. By contrast, the seawater tank constructed for Titanic contained 17 million gallons. Along the viewing platforms on the deck, there were windows in the pool walls for camera operators to shoot through, giving the place the look and feel of a laboratory aquarium.
I thought we lost them.
I've done a lot of green screen, I've done a lot of blue screen, but never anything, of course, like this, where there really is no screen, you're just acting in a space.
By then, they ran into another problem. The overhead lights affected the capture data. For this, Cameron suggested spreading a layer of small polymer balls across the waterline, thereby diffusing the light in the tank while allowing actors to surface safely. He had used the basic technique to stimulate dark oceanic depths in the abyss.
Now you must stand with us.
I've always thought that being in the volume is about playing and imagination, and there is no kind of fear or no shame. You can do whatever you need to do to get to that truth.
Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana explained the development of their characters from the first to the second film and what it was like filming.
Everything changed. Can you talk about how you prepared differently or how you keyed into him in a different way?
Well, he's been living with the Na'vi for 10 years, so he's assimilating in a certain way.
And I think you can really tell looking at the movie that we're comfortable in that element and that we are water creatures. And that really comes from, he didn't want us to feel unsafe and he wanted us to feel like this was our world.
The actors go into detail about exactly what they had to wear and what its purpose was for making the film.
At the beginning of the day, the first thing we do is get into the performance capture suit, and that is a skin-tight two-piece, and it's totally filled with ping-pong-like balls around us so they can then track my arm and then translate that into the virtual world.
During an episode with National Geographic, James Cameron goes on to explain his thoughts while making the film and his connection with the ocean and his love for it, putting certain animals in with the actors.
The Way of Water was an opportunity to put two things that I love together. I loved the world-building opportunity that I'm blessed with when I make an Avatar film, and I love the ocean. There's a very big parallel between Pandora and our planet. The most obvious connection is the coral reefs.
And not only was this film just extraordinary in general, but there were rumors of the cameras being specifically designed for this film. James Cameron was always a fan of 3D films, and it was his mission to create something even if the technology hadn't advanced yet, so he was patient.
I've enjoyed shooting with the Sony Cinealta cameras for 19 years, but I'm really looking forward to shooting Avatar 2 and 3 with the new Venice camera. The Venice camera delivers the most astonishing image I've ever seen.
Actors revealed that it took 18 months for them to be comfortably trained before they could even start shooting in the tank itself.
A slight competitive edge when it comes to having held their breath. You got to 7 minutes.
And 14 seconds.
I apologize.
It's quite important that, because if you were to hold your breath now for 14 seconds, you'd realize that actually 14 is kind of a big deal.
Well, I held my breath for 6.5 minutes. So not as good as Kate, but pretty fine for me. I was very surprised.
And speaking of realism, there was failure and issues before there was success with this movie. When it came to realizing those watery scenes, there would be none of the usual Hollywood dry for wet performance capture techniques, where actors dangling from wires, feigning weightlessness, making vague swimming motions in the air.
And then we put a head rig on, and it's a helmet, and it has a camera that's right in front of your face.
One of the big advances that we've made technologically on the sequels is the facial performance capture. We are capturing a much higher fidelity of performance.
According to members of Cameron's crew, the director insisted on wet for wet. According to a visual effects supervisor who worked with James Cameron's company, if an actor is genuinely in water, there's a vicious resistance. It informs the actor's choices. That's what we're chasing. That's what makes it feel real.
Saving their lives, that's all that matters.
I have had to work completely differently than I ever have before, and it's been an amazing experience to go back in time.
Why am I different?
With Variety, Sam Worthington talks about his experience working with James Cameron and his mindset with the end goal of this film.
I even looked at the auditions. If I didn't even get the job, I'd work with Jim Cameron. That's how I looked at it, just as a process of, well, I'm working with a guy that revolutionizes movie making.
During another interview with Sam, he explains how they were being directed movement while the actors were underwater in the tank trying to shoot certain scenes.
You can hear Jim under the water too, so he directs you through these sound systems in the tank. And that's like this voice in your head.
How long does it take you to get out of the one?
I'm 46, it took me a long time.
As far as the answer to our trivia question, it took over 4 years to film this from pre-production to its release.
I find as a director, I'm much more attuned to the actors because that's all I have to worry about. I'm not distracted by the camera move or the extras in the background. I'm just there for them. That's all I care about. That's all I'm watching.
All in all, I think it's safe to say that we all can't wait for more sequels from this franchise to come out, seeing as how successful the first one alone was, holding the top spot for over a decade. So what do you guys think about all this? Did you think that James Cameron would have been putting this much effort into this kind of film? But in a way, it was worth it given the visual effects. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Make sure you subscribe with notifications on for more videos just like this. That's it for today though. We'll see you all next time with a brand new video.